Ladies and gentlemen, we now direct your attention to Commissioner Kuhn's box, situated at the home plate side of the Reds dugout, where the ceremonial first pitch will be thrown out by the widow of the inspirational leader of the 1961 National League champion Cincinnati Reds, Mrs. Fred Hutchinson.
Patsy Hutchinson will throw out the first ball. What a lovely lady. Johnny Bench will take one more. Baseball certainly remains a big part of the Hutchinson family. Jack, the second of the three sons and one daughter, one time played in the Red system, is now the assistant director of stadium operations for the Brewers. Rick, the oldest son, a former player at Florida State. Right behind him, one of the Hutchinson boys. Chub Feeney next to Patsy. Doesn't seem possible that Fred has been gone since November 12, 1964, but certainly memorialized with the Cancer Research Center in Seattle. There go the Reds. Tony, it's amazing when you look at this field, and Marty, you've seen it so often. The rain came down, that big squeegee comes out, and look how dry it is.
It's Italian. You should have pronounced it. What is it called? A Zamboni?
Zamboni machine. And, Joe, you and I were talking before the broadcast tonight that they have never had an official game rained out here. They had a second game of a doubleheader a few years back. They had a game stopped at the end of 5 innings last year, a tie game with Atlanta, but never an official date rained out since they moved in here in 1970.
Fred Norman, little guy who was used in middle relief, he and Billingham kind of swapped positions. He's digging it out there, boy. Get him a rake and a shovel. Tony, I know that Larry Shepard, the pitching coach, you were there visiting with him. Looks like before he starts, he's going to be like the doctor. He's going to have everything ready. You talked to Larry Shepard about Fred Norman.
Right, I asked Larry about his pitching style. He's been very consistent for the Reds. We talked to him before the ball game, and here's their pitching coach, Larry Shepard.
Well, he has all the pitches, Tony. I think that with the curveball, the screwball, the fastball, the straight change, plus the fact that he has control of all his pitches, and I think this is going to give them trouble.
I don't know about you, Tony, but my favorite shot of these four is the one in the upper right-hand corner, because I like to know what that pitcher's looking at when he starts to throw. And Norman, like a lot of them, and this shot proves it, they look down at the ground. Watch when he delivers. No, he was looking straight ahead that time. Time before he did. That'd make me feel better as a hitter, wouldn't you?
They say he has a little bit of a problem when he tries to nibble too much. If he tries to be too cute, tries to nibble on the corners, he can get behind. We heard Larry Shepard talk about his screwball, slow curve, and I think his fastball is more deceptive sometimes, Marty, than people give him credit for.
It is, Tony, because of his off-speed pitches. You mentioned his screwball and his curveball, and when he gets those pitches over and they're working effectively for him, his fastball is deceptively quick.
Would you expect a lot of ground balls if he's got his good stuff?
Absolutely, Joe. And Tony mentioned the fact that he has been guilty many times this season of nibbling. And it's a tremendous problem for Freddie. He can roll along, maybe giving up 2-3 hits over maybe a 6-inning span, and all of a sudden completely lose it because I know as Sparky comments, he's thinking too much out there.
Don't want you to think, want you to throw. And there's his 1975 statistics and his lifetime 52 and 57. Fred Norman has bounced around, but here he is in the major leagues. 15th pro season. Here is Juan Beniquez, who is known as a fastball first ball hitter. You might say that about most of these Red Sox. An aggressive club. Takes it high, ball one. Manager Darrell Johnson made a change in his lineup with Beniquez in left field and Yastrzemski at first base. 2 balls and no strikes. Dick Stello is behind the plate. George Maloney is at first base. Satch Davison is second. Art Francis at third. Larry Burnett is in right field. Colossi is in left field. That's the umpiring alignment. 3-0. 3 balls and no strikes.
What makes a pitcher so good? There's Zimmer at third base. What makes a pitcher so good in one park and not so good in another? He's got a tremendous home record, doesn't he, Marty? 22-6 lifetime, and he's been a below 500 pitcher on the road.
There's the strike. I don't know. I've seen pitches like that. You have too, to make you wonder as Zimmer flashes the sign. And I tell you, if he coaches like he usually does, this guy's hitting. Johnson, he turns him loose. Norman falls behind hitters, and that'll get you in trouble. Wants a new baseball. I love that. Now, the umpire put it in his pocket. 2 pitches later, going to give him the same ball. It's going to be all right.
The pitchers tell me they can tell. That little seam is out of place.
Oh, sure. They tell me that, too. You believe them?
I believe you. You're sitting right next to me. They're not.
Straight away center field. Geronimo has plenty of room. 1 away, and it brings up Denny Doyle.
Joe and Marty, you've got to wonder what kind of attitude the Red Sox are going into this after they lost 2 consecutive games, both of which they might have won. A little bit base running that may have been a little bit too risky.
Well, I'll tell you, Johnny Bench wasn't that happy about the victory. He was a little bit upset last night. He said, we were lucky to win it, very lucky to win it. He said, we made some bad plays, and I hope it woke us up. Hits his bat at strike 1. No score, just underway. Denny Doyle, 4 for 12, hitting .310. This little guy has really done a job. That was a slider way outside. You got a good look at that slider as it broke quickly. He's got from a great hometown, isn't he, Marty? What is it, Caves Creek or something? Caves Creek.
Got a lot of people up here in support of Denny Doyle, Joe. He's a graduate of Morehead State University, and a lot of his old college chums are here at Riverfront Stadium tonight to see him play.
You figure Caves Creek is, they turned down the stop-and-go light and they're all here? One of my favorite towns. There's a pitch. He didn't have a good cut at that ball. It looked like he was fooled on that pitch by Norman. 2 balls and 2 strikes, 1 out.
Marty, what kind of fielder is Freddie Norman?
He's not a bad fielder, Tony. He's done a pretty good job this season. Did some fine fielding plays, turned in some fine fielding plays against Pittsburgh in his last start in the League Championship Series.
2-2 pitch. Morgan. 2 outs. I like the way he shakes off a pitch. He really sneers it off. You know, he gives you that tough upper lip. Just sneers at you. Be surprised how many funny faces pitchers make. And sometimes you're down in the crouch. I used to have to laugh sometimes. They just give you, they don't mean it, you know, but they just bearing down so much.
I guess their expression depends a lot upon whom they've got to look in at. I didn't mean that.
Yes, you did. You really did, Tony. Here's Yastrzemski. 2 for 11 in this series. Takes a fastball high. Boy, he was out there mighty early. Bus got out there about 5 o'clock. He had taken a cab an hour or so earlier. They're ready. Good cut of the fastball. 1 ball, 1 strike. There's the on-deck hitter, and he'll get quite a reception when he comes up. Carlton Fisk.
They look like they're playing Yastrzemski over more to pull toward the right field line than they did before. I guess they're going to try and pitch him inside or maybe some breaking balls.
There's a good shot of it. You can always gauge it by the center fielder. Geronimo's in right center, and look at Concepcion, the shortstop. Hit it to right field. It's a base hit. Got a curveball up, and he just kind of stroked it oh so gently. Yastrzemski is on, and that brings up Carlton Fisk. Well, I tell you, if I'd have been catching, I believe I'd have made the same kind of a beat. Because I only changed my mind after watching the replay about 18 times today. Not too bad. I thought it'd be worse than it is, Marty. These fans didn't give it to him too badly.
No, they really didn't, Joe, and it was somewhat surprising. But I guess the biggest reason was the fact that it was a play that had the Reds ultimately coming out on top in the ball game, but he really put up quite a storm at home plate.
Carlton Fisk. There's his strike. He's 2 for 9. 1 home run, 3 runs batted in. He's been a good hitter for the Red Sox in this series. He got it going last night. Tremendous home run. One and one. Mrs. Fisk. She just keeps up that applause. Ah, the lonely life of the pretty wives. Come on, Pudge. Curveball is the beauty. He dropped the curveball in there off speed. And there is Larry Barnett, who was involved in the play last night. He's along the right field line. He was behind the plate last night. Out on strike. Fisk on a screwball. So the Red Sox do not score in the top of the first. We go to the bottom half. No score. And there he is, Luis Tiant. And Mrs. Tiant. What in the world is that? Man, she came prepared, didn't she? Beautiful.
Fans are going to have some fun watching Louis pitch here tonight.
Oh, I tell you, he is something to watch. We warn you ahead, there'll be nothing wrong with your fine-tuning knob. He'll be out of focus. Here he comes. Fastball is the strike. You remember he threw a slow curveball to Pete Rose that had him kind of talking to himself. Makes you wonder if he'll be up there looking for it. 3 for 12 in the series. No score. One and one.
Rose hit the ball hard off him up in Boston. He had 3 balls on the nose.
There's that slow curve.
He was waiting for it,
He was waiting for it. Yes, sir. And still couldn't do much with it. He's talking to himself.
Joe, you talk about Tiant's motion in relation to Pete. Tony made the comment about the 3 hard hit balls. Pete said that Louis Tiant's head could roll off toward the first base foul line as he delivered to the plate. He wouldn't even notice it.
Say, he is something. 1-2 pitch. Fastball, and he had to fight it off. He comes from over the top. He gets a little extra on it, it seems. The thing about him, he's got 6 different pitches. He throws a knuckleball when he's really ahead, but it's not only the pitches that he has, it's the angle from which they come. Outside, 2-2. 2 balls, 2 strikes on Pete Rose. No score, bottom of the first. Game 4. All 3, breaking ball. 3 balls, 2 strikes. Tiant has been outstanding in 5 of his last 6 starts. His last 6 starts, he's allowed 5 earned runs in 48 2/3 inning. That's an earned run average of 0.92. Amazing. Payoff pitch. Pretty good fastball.
He's going to need it tonight. He usually has pretty good control, too. He can spot the ball with all of his pitches. He walks 2 or 3 a game.
Look at those statistics, Tony. 27 hits, 6 runs, 5 earned, 3 shutouts. Boy,
Look at that bottom line.
Oh.
What they pay off on.
Up the middle, it's a base hit. Tiant, because of his follow-through, was not ready, and it got through there. This telecast is presented by authority of Major League Baseball, is intended solely for the private, non-commercial use of our audience. Any publication, reproduction, retransmission, or other use of the pictures, descriptions, and accounts of this game without the express written consent of the Commissioner of Baseball is prohibited. Major League Baseball has the right of approval of the announcers for this event.
Joe, you might take a close look at Pete Rose here as Ken Griffey steps in. Sparky Anderson made the comment earlier tonight that something may be going if he gets on initially.
Well, he's on. Not too big a lead. There he goes. Left center field. That's going to plug the gap. Rose will score easily. Here he comes. There goes Griffey for third. They're going to have a shot at him. In time, they got him. Once again, the Boston Red Sox with fundamentally sound, basic baseball, hitting the cutoff man who got the ball in good shape.
Fine relay throw as we look at Lynn all the way over left center to Rick Burleson, the cutoff man. Look at Art France, the third base umpire. He's eating dust right along with Petrocelli and Griffey. Good relay. Great execution, Joe.
That was just perfect, boy. That's page 10 of the Spalding Guide if you want to know how you make relay plays. Lynn gave it to Burleson. Burleson a one-hopper, which is an easy ball for the infield and the handle. And Bongo, they got the man. Pete Rose scores. It's 1-0. Here is Joe Morgan. Hit and run play. Marty, you hit it right on the head. You said something would happen. It didn't take long. Ball one. Wrinkle those socks. 2 balls, no strikes. A single by Rose and a double by Griffey, and it's 1-0 Cincinnati. All 3. Three-nothing pitch. Strike is called. Burleson, the shortstop, really over towards the bag. A lot of room between Burleson and Petrocelli. Look at that. Man, he drive 2-3. Whew. Now we'll see it. What do you think, Tony?
Well, let's hear what Joe Morgan says. We had a little audio tape or videotape with him before the game. We asked him, what about Luis Tion's move? Let's hear what little Joe's got to say about Luis Tion.
What will you do about it? Well, Tony, Louis has a quick move at first, which is a legitimate move, and he also has a balk move at first. And he interchanges the two, and I think it throws the umpires off a little bit. His balk move, he starts his throw to first base without stepping, and on his regular move, he does step.
What a lead Joe's got.
He's got a big lead as Perez waits. They throw it back. He just made it. Dropped the ball. You can tell the big lead because Morgan can get at least 1 foot on the artificial surface. That's the yardstick. Pete Rose, when he broke, he was in the dirt area. But watch Morgan. If you can get to the artificial surface, you got yourself a good lead. There he goes measuring again. Back there. He read that pretty good. That wasn't as close.
Morgan's come out and said that he's not going to be thrown out anymore the rest of this series.
Tion jiggles, comes from different positions, and look at the lead. Man, we got some battle going here now. Say what you want, and Perez has to wait. Morgan continues to defy Tion by getting a big lead. Tion challenging him. Cat and mouse. Holding. Foul back. Boy, I guarantee you now, when you look in the box score, all that happened there was a foul ball, but you never saw a more exciting moment than with Tion trying to get Morgan.
Fastball right down the middle, and that's the benefit that a bench or a Tony Perez get when Morgan's on base. Not many breaking balls. Lack of concentration by the pitcher going home. You see some balls popped in this situation.
I think what they do, they rely more on throwing strikes than throwing outside corner strikes. Here we go again. Look at Morgan's lead on that surface. 1 strike. Pitch out. Nothing happening.
Morgan says he loves it. He said he can read pitch outs. That man goes quicker to home. That's all he needs. He stops in his tracks, doesn't even break.
He didn't break at all. But look out now. Holding. Bouncing ball. Burleson's only played first base. In time. Nice play by Yastrzemski at first base. George Maloney, the umpire. A double call to make sure that everybody knew he was out. Burleson made a good play on that ball.
He did, throwing off balance, couldn't get much on it as he was going a little bit away from first base.
Johnny Bench with the score 1-0 Cincinnati. Single by Rose, double by Griffey, and that snapped Tian's streak of no earned runs in his last 27 innings. Johnny Bench 3 for 12 in the World Series. They won't give him too much to hit with first base open. High, ball one. The on-deck batter is George Foster, a good hitter, but not the threat to hit one out of here that Johnny Bench is. And there you see Foster. Morgan just kind of cruising around second base. Boy, that's when he's the most dangerous. 1-1.
Perez and Bench have had a couple of pretty good swings, just missing. Of course, that's been said a lot in this game, hasn't he? Just missed it.
Just didn't get it all.
More often than I just got it.
Tell you, man, they really play it deep. Look at Burleson, the shortstop, way back there. He may have to hit a relay man to get it to first. High fastball. Got to believe John widened his strike zone, tried to drive that run, and that was not a good strike. It was a good pitch by Tiant.
Marty, how much did that shoulder injury bother Johnny Bench during the course of the year?
Tony, it bothered him a lot more than he let people think it did. Actually, at one point, it got so bad that he had to go to Sparky Anderson and said, look, I've got to sit down for a while and give it rest. He had a number of shots to try to alleviate the problem.
1-2 pitch. High. 2-2, 2 outs, 1 run in. We're in the bottom of the first. Tian hasn't given that whirling dervish kind of move where he kicks his leg at base runner Morgan at second base. But due for it. Way back there, right center field. Slow curveball, and it drops for the extra base. Morgan scores easily. Bench has a double. That ball seemed to hang up there a long time. And Evans and Lynn gave it a chase. Couldn't seem to catch up with it. 2-0 Cincinnati.
Well, they said up in Fenway that they wouldn't be able to play as shallow as Mr. and Mrs. Johnny Bench in the stands. Here's Freddie Lynn. He and Evans have not moved back too much since coming over from Fenway, but they got hurt by Pete Rose yesterday. This ball hung up, as you said, Joe, but they were playing relatively shallow, couldn't get to it.
What a great shot from center field to see the action of the outfielders. I think there was more indecision in misjudging it.
What great hitting by Bench, too. An off-speed pitch. You expect him to pull it, maybe even foul, but he was going the other way all the way.
Here is George Foster now. 2-0 ball game. Cincinnati out in front. Strike one. Breaking ball. A lot of room in the outfield here, and Johnny Bench took the pitch to the opposite field. He has given the Cincinnati Reds their second run in this inning. Fastball inside. 1 ball, 1 strike.
Looked like they want to take the fastball and lay for the off-speed stuff.
And go the other way with it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Rose got the first off-speed pitch he got. He went for it. Bench hit it.
Perez went after it, dribbled it.
Perez dribbled it.
Infield.
1-1 pitch. Curveball is a beauty. Overhand curveball. Johnny Bench at second base. Two runs in. We're in the bottom of the first. Tiant. Good fastball, got it up and in. 2 balls, 2 strikes. They're very shifted way over for Foster. Yastrzemski at first base, way wide of the bag as Concepcion waits. There's a good shot at defense. Look at Yastrzemski, how far he is from the bag. 2-2 pitch. Fouls it back.
Never forget the All-Star game in Washington. The year Bill Dickey was president, great Hall of Famer, and he was talking about Bench. He said he had seen him on television. He just raved about the strength he had and still had the great soft hands, his agility. He said, well, everybody knows it by now. He's going to be in the Hall of Fame. This is one of the first years Bench was in the majors.
He may be in the Hall of Fame while he's still playing. Way outside, 3-2. I tell you, it's guys like Bench and Morgan, and, well, Yastrzemski, even Fred Lynn, Jim Rice, who answered the question, are the ball players of today as good as the ball players of your time? Listen, if you could play, you can play in 1776 or 1976. If you can't play, better hope your father buys the team. Here's the payoff pitch. Deonta Foster. Hot smash to Petrocelli, but he was right there guarding the line. Yastrzemski, nice play, almost pulled him off the bag. At the end of an inning, Cincinnati 2, Boston nothing. Split screen as we see Sparky Anderson on the left, Darrell Johnson on your right. Sparky's very superstitious. He always has Alex Grammas to his right when the opposition is batting. To his left, I'm sure, is George Sherger. Darrell Johnson is kind of sitting there.
Two contrasting personalities managing these teams. Sparky's bubbling all the time, willing to talk to anybody, and Darrell Johnson not rude, but he's been kind of short with his answers. Simple yeses and nos. Although I guess you said more than yes or no yesterday in that 10th inning.
I kind of think he did, Tony. Here's Fred Lynn, 3 for 11 in the series. Against Fred Norman. Red Sox trail 2-0, top of the second. Ball 1. Lynn trying to draw Pete Rose in. Petrocelli, who has really been a hot hitter. Petrocelli, 6 base hits. Petrocelli and Burleson tied for the Red Sox lead in hits. There's the strike. We pause briefly for station identification. This is the NBC Television Network. One pitch. Look at that bench. He scooped that up like picking cherries. Watch him just grab that ball like it's a tweezer, a giant tweezer. Hello there. He's got a magnet in that glove, Tony. Isn't that something? When a catcher does that, the pitcher never looks wild. Down the left field line, maybe playable. It's near the stands and into the stands. You know, some catchers will make a pitcher look wild. They're jumping around and moving. Bench. Nobody ever looks wild.
He's the kind of guy you want to say, well, he can do it all. And then you say, well, he doesn't run too well. But then you look at what he's done. 12 of 12. He's an excellent base runner.
I think the best yardstick you can use on the franchise, and that's what he is that when a young catcher comes up, and I hear it so often, he's a young Johnny Bench. And then you look at Johnny Bench, the young catcher's older than him.
Never thought of it that way.
2-2 pitch. How many times have you heard it? Young guy comes up and says, oh, this guy's a young Johnny Bench. He's 28. Bench is 26. 3 balls, 2 strikes on Fred Lynn. They're going to be saying the same thing about Lynn. High curveball. He chased it, missed it. Strike 3, and that's the second strikeout for Norman, 2 in a row. Rico Petrocelli. Petrocelli is 6 for 11. 3 runs batted in. Fisk and Petrocelli have a club lead in RBIs.
There's one right there. He just struck out Lynn. The ball was passed around the infield. He changed balls. Superstition, Marty?
Yeah, he does that quite a bit during the course of the game, Tony.
What does he figure? Some witch doctor?
One of those idiosyncrasies of a left-hander, Joe.
You put it nicely.
That's the high rent district way of saying they're flaky, huh?
Yeah.
He's bearing down. Look, I love the way. Oh man, he sneers. There's a broken bat, base hit for Petrocelli, and in my book, there's no such thing as a cheap hit. They're all too tough to get, and Petrocelli now has his 7th base hit of the World Series.
Might have been a screwball that Rico got off the end of the bat. Looked like pretty good location. That's the pitch that used to get Rico out very easily when he was a big slugger. Kept the ball away. Now he goes the opposite way at times with that pitch.
He did hit that ball right on the end of the bat. You could see it. Here is Dwight Evans, who was a hero for a couple of minutes last night. Hit a big home run to tie it up. Evans is 3 for 10. One man out, 2-0. Cincinnati leading, top of the 2nd. Fastball. Bench wanted to know where it was, and there is Rick Burleson. He's one of those bear-down guys in the on-deck circle. Takes his stance and tries to time the pitcher. Bouncing ball to Concepcion. To Morgan, 1. That's all they're going to get. Evans can run. Two outs. Rick Burleson is a batter.
Joe, I think what tells a little bit of the story of the kind of competitor that Freddie Norman is, he was peeved when he was passed up for the 2nd game up in Boston. I know a lot of left-handed pitchers want to pass up Fenway Park, Boston.
That's one of those parks that left-handers get bad backs, isn't it?
Ooh.
10 hits and 20 times at bat. That's pretty good in the postseason play games. Burleson, first pitch once again. This time it's Rose who comes over and makes the play. It's hard to say Concepcion, but Pete Rose covered a lot of ground. Ends the inning. We go to the bottom of... Here it comes.
We talked about on a play made this way yesterday going to his left. He considers this his best play. What an adjustment he's had to make and do it well and never lost his hitting either.
So it's 2-0 as we go in the bottom half of the 2nd inning. Cincinnati in front. Dave Concepcion leads it off against Luis Tiant. That was a tough first inning for Tiant. Made 28 pitches at the plate. 3 more pitches at first base when Morgan was on. That's a lot of pitches for him. Fastball is a strike. Concepcion had some problems with Tiant in Boston. Then who didn't? He won that game 6-0. Strike 2.
Headlines in Venezuela this morning, I understand, with the front page, Concepcion's picture full page. Concepcion, the hero of the game. He's something.
That's the way it should be. Hot smash to Petrocelli. Played him perfectly. 1 up, 1 down. Petrocelli has been as steady a ball player as you want. He's hitting, he's fielding, getting on base, and just kind of doing it in a quiet, positive way.
Still insists he might quit and call this his last year.
Boy, you would hate to see that happen with the kind of a series he's having. Here's Geronimo, 2 for 8, hit a big home run last night. Fastball misses. Another one of those oddities in this series. A small ballpark, 2 games, no home runs. Last night they were flying out of here, 6 of them. Big ballpark. There's that slow curve hit off the end of the bat. Doyle. So Geronimo is out. What would you do, Tony, if you were batting against a guy like Tiant as you watch it?
I think I might do what Cincinnati's trying to do. They're taking the fastball and going after the off-speed spin. Look at Louis, another change-up curveball. Geronimo was looking for an off-speed pitch, but he still hit it on the end of the bat.
That pitch, he seemed to sling it. One of those frozen shoulder jobs. Of course, he looked 7 different directions before he threw it, too, which can be a little distracting. Here's Norman, not a bad hitter.
Louis tells a great story on his dad, the former great left-handed Cuban pitcher. There's Rose pitching in the Polo Grounds. He apparently had a great fastball and also a great move to first base. And he threw over to first base. The hitter swung and missed. Threw his bat down in disgust, told the umpire, "I never saw the ball." And then, now listen to this. How's this for a ball player's excuse? He reconsidered and said, "I thought I got a piece of it." Tiant claims it's a true story.
He threw to first. The guy swung and went back to the bench and said, "I thought I got a piece of it."
He said, "I got a piece of it." Louis claims it's true.
Left field. Beniquez is waiting, makes the play. I'm going to have to ask Satchel Paige about that. That sounds like his kind of story. So at the end of 2, Cincinnati 2, Boston nothing.
We'll be back here for game number 5 tomorrow night of the 1975 World Series. Joe Garagiola's Baseball World will be on, and you've got Max Patkin. He's been in every park in the world.
That's right. You know, he's the last of his breed, which it all began, at least in my memory, with Al Shack as the Clown Prince. And Max does a very physical show. We went to Rochester, filmed him, and I think you'll enjoy it. I don't think there's going to be any more after Max. Here is Tiant to lead it off. We're in the 3rd inning. Curveball, and they're treating him with respect, and they should, because it was Tiant as Beniquez swings that bat in the on-deck circle. Tiant got himself a base hit when they were at Fenway. And it's ball 2. He did miss home plate as he came around. He went back and tagged it. 2 balls and no strikes. Ball 3. I tell you, it's easy to see why they would love this fella, especially in Boston. You got to like him. He's a bear-down guy, gives you everything he's got. 3-0 pitch. Ball 4 draws the walk, and that'll send Sparky Anderson to the water cooler, I guarantee you. That'll make you stir at least. DeRocher used to always go to the water cooler. There he is. There's his superstitious lineup. Graham is to his right. That's Sparky Anderson with his leg crossed, which is another one of his superstitions. Scherger, the coach, has to sit up there off his left shoulder, and Larry Shepard to the right of Gramus.
Sure has worked.
It sure has, especially if you got good hitters. There is Norman sneering off a pitch, and Beniquez hasn't taken his eyes off him. Look at the concentration on Beniquez. Screwball. Let's see if their eyes meet. I mean by that, after he gets the sign, if Beniquez will pick him up right away, Tony. He's got him. Another one, same pitch. 2 strikes. Luis Tiant is the base runner at first. Here we go. Beniquez with a count of strike 2. Good spot.
3 screwballs in a row. Beniquez, as you obviously can tell by those first 3 pitches, respected as a fastball hitter. Tony playing behind Luis Tiant at first.
One-two pitch now. Fouled off. Say that Cecil Cooper played behind Perez last night, and old Tony took off. And
what
made
a difference.
Yeah.
Would have been the 3rd out. Had he been thrown out, bench would have never come up.
Everybody on this club looks for that green light, whether it's hitting or on the bases, and Sparky Anderson usually giving it. Foul ball, it's out of play. He's really spotting that ball well. He's keeping the ball the outside part of the plate.
He walks about 4 per 9 innings. Been more of a strikeout pitcher than you'd suspect a little guy like he is would be. Strikes almost 6 out per 9 innings.
So far tonight, he's got 2. There's the on-deck batter, Denny Doyle. Nobody out. Lined over the dugout. Just again, that's that good fastball in, and that good hitter, when he can't handle it, he just fouls it off.
Beniquez noted to be a pretty good offensive player. They felt he'll hit around 300, pop a home run once in a while, has a chance to be a good base stealer. They're trying to find a position for him.
If he can hit, they'll find one. Off the end of the bat, but it's going to sneak through.
Whoa, Louis.
Tiant, he made that left turn.
Louis had some experience this year being on base. That was the first game of the World Series. Almost gets nipped by the ball. You're going in the right direction, Louie. Don't round it too far at second.
Tell you, the other day in Boston, when he got on first, they gave him a jacket and a road map. Now he's looking like he's got some ideas.
Throw a lasso on him.
That's it. He's just one of those guys that makes things happen when he's around him. As the base hit to right field, almost hits him. He scores, well, misses home plate. Something's always happening. He's an exciting kind of guy. So it's first and second. Now here's Denny Doyle. Doyle bounced out his first time up, and they're moving in on him at first and third. They're looking for the bunt. He squares around, and then, whoops, look out there.
The Cincinnati infield was doing a little decoying there, too. They were creeping in at the corners, and Concepcion was way over toward the back. That's where he was now. But as soon as Norman started pitching, they backed up on the left side a little bit. Remember, it was Doyle who slapped the ball by Rose in one of the ball games earlier.
He's got a lot of room between Concepcion and Rose. Ball one to count. Center field, Geronimo covering over fast and makes the play. The ball was well hit, but he was very shallow. He covered a lot of ground.
The kind of situation you would expect Doyle to bunt, Joe. I thought he was going to bunt all the way, but they put so much pressure at the corners on this artificial surface, didn't feel he could do it successfully.
Johnson, one of those managers who plays pretty conservative, but again, that pressure from Rose and Perez just took the bunt right away from him.
Joe, I haven't seen that conservative play by Johnson. I think he's
well, I mean,
had his guys going on the base pass, yeah.
The only guy he really didn't bunt with we expected was Yaz, and he said he would have bunted with him last night if he'd got one strike. Oh, he's not conservative on the bases at all, or 3-0. Bouncing ball to Morgan. There's one. And there's two. Double play, 4-6-3. And the crowd loves it. Here's the play once again. 2-0. Cincinnati leading. Tony, here's that double play again. You got to love the way Morgan gives you that ball.
You'll see right here why David Concepcion's son's middle name is Alexander, after Alex Kramas, who spent so much time working on him with just that specific play, among many others. A lot of hours put in trying to refine his double play technique.
Certainly has refined it to the point that he's got it down perfectly. Here is Rose. He singled and scored the first run. Single to center field. Hit hard, center field. Lynn is there. Boy, he jumped on the first pitch and really drilled it. Can't say he fooled him with that one. Here is Griffey. Griffey doubled to left center field to drive in Rose, but then was out on a tremendous play by Lynn to Burleson to Petrocelli. Ken Griffey, 318 his last 44 games. Ted Kluszewski simply says he's our Ralph Garr with power. And I think that pretty well says it all. There's the strike. Joe Morgan in the on-deck bat, in the on-deck circle.
Marty, I think everybody around here feels that Griffey has the potential to be another Joe Morgan. He's got a little bit of power. Clue says he might hit 20 home runs someday, and of course he's got the great speed.
That's right, Tony. He last year had a terrible habit of going after bad pitches, and they worked that with him on spring training, and he seemed to really cut down on that problem during the regular season, primarily when at good pitches, and it really paid off for him.
He's up to now with a 1-1 count. What a pitch that was.
I got a question for you, Joe.
All right.
If you had had Griffey's speed as a player, what might you have done?
Probably an artificial surface, too?
Oh, that, too. You could have it all.
I probably did a hard 260.
Fenway Park's wall in right field for you.
Okay, here's the 1-2 pitch.
A hard 260.
Hard 260.
What's a hard 260?
Anything I hit's hard, man. 2 balls and 2 strikes on Griffey. In addition to not being able to hit, I also couldn't run. Right back to Tian. He's got this one and over to first.
You had a hard 4 base hits one World Series. Don't discount that.
You can catch lightning in a bottle once in a while, Tony. Here is Morgan. Boy, I try to figure out the pitchers that would give him the most trouble when he was on bases. You know who's at the very top of his list, not playing now? Pete Rickard. You remember Rickard?
Yeah.
He had a good move.
Dodgers.
He made it tough on Morgan. Out of play.
Joe says the toughest right-hander in baseball is Andy Messersmith. And, of course, one of the top throwing catchers is Steve Yeager, the Dodgers. And yet Joe went 13 for 13 stolen bases against the Dodgers.
The moral of that story is, don't believe a base stealer. One strike pitch. Ooh, he had some ideas on that slow pitch. Well, Morgan simply says, nobody's going to stop me from stealing. Some make it tougher than others. There was that pitch is a tough pitch to handle. He missed the inside corner, but he shoots for the belt buckle, and there's nothing you can do with it. And he really twisted and turned on that one. He took a good look at the center field bleachers. Here's a shot from behind. The pitcher, here's what it's going to look like. The outfield. You know, Tony, it's a funny thing. As a catcher, all the years you spend with the ball coming towards you, but the infielders and outfielders, it's going away from you. You know what I'm saying?
Makes a lot of sense so far.
I know, but, I mean, it's a different perspective, like when you sit in a ballpark. Like right now, this is the way the infielder would see it. Right?
Yeah.
I mean, a catcher's view, it's always going to come to him, so you're not leaning forward. I know. It's the same thing with Adam with the catches.
It's that theory you
Forget
got.
it, man. I can see that blank look. It's a look you get when you start to blow up the footballs. I know. That ball's well hit, but Benitez is out there this time and makes the play. So used to Yastrzemski, he had it covered well. 3 up and 3 down. It's 2-0 Cincinnati. Top of the fourth, 2-0 Cincinnati out in front, and with our handheld camera, there it is. Now, that's a spot. See, I would sit there, and the reason I would sit there is so I could watch the third baseman throw the ball as opposed to sitting at first base and watch the ball come towards me.
I can get you that job. I'll call Corey Leibel, the guy carting that camera around. You can have his job.
I don't want his job. Norman against Carlton Fisk.
It would be easy to say right now, Joe, that Boston is down, but it's the World Series, and I know they're not. They know what they've been through this entire year with Baltimore in pursuit.
No way. The only way they're down is on that scoreboard. They're trailing by 2, and they're going to try to get some runs. You don't get down. You play it in the series. Fastball is high, ball 1. I'll tell you one, there is Fred Lynn. I'll tell you one thing, that Rose is way back there at third base. He's going to have some trouble if he does come up with the ball. Long throw for him. 2 balls, no strikes.
He's had some arm problems, too. His shoulder, Marty?
Well, he had some elbow problems, Tony, but going into the playoffs, he said they had completely cleared up for him.
3-0. Norman behind. It's 2-0. So every time those Red Sox get a runner on, that time runs at the plate, and they got some gunners. There's the strike. Dick Stello raises that right hand and strike like he's posing for that baking soda ad. Big, powerful arm up there. 3-1 pitch. Well hit, in the gap, left center field. Could be extra base, but look at Geronimo get over there and cut that ball off. Fine defensive play, and there's that raw speed Plucky was talking about.
I'll tell you, Joe, Tony, he can do it. He is considered by many to be the best center fielder in the National League, and as you mentioned, on artificial surface, it makes it all the more difficult as you see him sweep deep into the gap in left center field to cut that ball off and really recover and get a quick throw off to the infield to keep Carlton Fisk to a long single.
You could see from that outfield camera following him how far he got over in that gap. And that's what Sparky was talking about, that raw speed. Because when it hits that artificial surface, it really jumps. And here's Lynn, who was out on strikes. Strike 1, foul tip.
Geronimo's fun to watch from up here because you can see the ball hit the bat and you can see his movement. something you can't see when you're down at ground level. You've got to watch the ball off the bat like a tennis match. But we can see it both from up here. And he's moving even on a foul ball, getting the jump.
You know, he's going to get in a position sometime tonight when he's going to be right in line with our camera, and we'll be able to take a sneak preview. Way outside. He's way over now in right center field. Not way over, but he's towards the right field side of the bag. You line up according to the second base bag. It's 1 ball and 1 strike, 2-0. Whoops, little flip throw. Nobody out. 2-0. Cincinnati leading. Going for that outside corner. Strike. 1 ball, 2 strikes. You know, baseball can get very basic to the point that the team that wins is the team that stays away from that double play. There is Geronimo.
Let's watch Geronimo. Now, this is a ball that was not even hit by Freddie Lynn the last swing, and you can see before the ball was hit, obviously, he's going toward left center field.
1-2 pitch on the way. Line foul. Starting to say, Tony, and you've heard it, where the managers say, if you can stay away from the double play, and on defense, you got to cut that ball off to keep it in order, and on offense, hitting to the right side, bunting, moving the guy around. Double play, that's the rally killer. And if you can keep it in effect when you're on defense and stay out of it when you're on offense, you got yourself a pretty good ball club. And both these clubs are able to do that. Geronimo has just kept it going here by cutting that ball off that Fisk hit. Here's the 1-2 pitch. Outside. Perez, you can see behind Fisk. He'll not be going anywhere. They're looking for a big sock from young Fred Lynn. Tap foul. All those outfielders, as you look at them moving.
Lynn hits best when he tries to go the opposite way on left-handers. He appears to be trying to pull the ball more than anything else. Thrown him some curveballs. He's been out in front on them.
Here's an interesting situation now. 3 balls, 2 strikes, nobody out. Fisk is on at first base. Lynn against a left-hander. Do you run him? Do you keep him there?
That's a right-hander. I might start him against a left-hander. I'd hold him, but let's see what Daryl Johnson decides.
I agree with you. He's holding. Fouls it back.
Bad pitch. Might have been 2 men on, nobody out.
That was a bad pitch. But when you got 2 strikes on you, you can't be that choosy. There is the first base. A look at the batter and the angle at first base. With Fisk at first. Perez behind him. 3-2, I like the late Clemente's theory. Any pitch you can hit is a good pitch. Fisk is holding. Hot smash, almost got Fisk, a base hit in the right field. Carlton had to stop to let the ball get by him. Lynn jumped on a high pitch and drilled it in the right field. Now it's first and second, nobody out. Here it is again.
Here's Fisk coming close to getting hit by this hard smash, which may or may not have, we don't know for sure, have prevented him from going to third base. Hit pretty sharply. Griffey was playing toward right center.
Don't think he would have taken the chance. That's a pretty good arm.
Pedro Borbon now has gone down to the bullpen for Cincinnati to get loosened up. Borbon. Neither Rose nor Perez looking for a bunt with nobody out and 2 men on.
Obviously, Borbon is a long middleman. Sparky used him all last night. Rose is way back at third. Nobody out. Petrocelli with Evans, the on-deck batter. Nice play by Bench. He has done that throughout the whole series. Not only does he come up with it, watch him get his body in front of this ball to prevent it. Look at that. Hit him right in the middle of the chest protector. And then he plays it off the protector. Morgan comes in to say something to him.
Might be a little stall for time. Borbone's thrown just a few pitches down in the bullpen. A string of right-handed hitters coming up.
Now you infielders go there and say, come on, settle down. I want you to settle down.
You go in sometimes because the manager says go in. You don't have anything to say.
And then that pitcher runs you out of there.
It's Freddie Norman, and he gives you the look he gives the catcher.
You take off. 1-0 pitch. High pop fly. Concepcion is under it. It's an infield fly. Infield fly. Petrocelli is out. One away, and here is Dwight Evans. Petrocelli got under that ball. Evans into a force play his first time up. Hit .316 in his last 48 games.
He and Fisk were the two hottest hitters on this Red Sox club going through September. He's become a more aggressive hitter. At one time, he took too many pitches. Johnny Pesky has worked with him, trying to make him more aggressive.
Gets by bench this time. It'll be a wild pitch, and both runners advance. And that's a big play.
As good as a bunt. Looked like a screwball. For a while, it looked like almost like it was going to hit Evans. Bench just couldn't get around.
That's kind of a funny pitch because usually if it's a curveball, when it hits, it would have gone to Bench's right side because it goes to the opposite way because of the rotation. That's one of those pitches, as the late and so wonderful Casey Stengel used to call a 55-foot curveball.
Here comes Larry Shepard. He has Borbone ready, but does he come out when they take him out? Marty, is usually Sparky.
No, Sparky is the man who comes out and brings the pitcher back with him, Tony. And Sparky made the comment earlier tonight that he felt like he had to have 6 strong innings out of Freddie Norman in this ball game.
Did he give any reason, Marty?
Well, he felt like he really, as you mentioned a moment ago, Joe, really went deep into his bullpen last night, and he does not want to have to go deeply into it again tonight. There's Borbone again.
It's interesting. They talk about Fenway Park not having any effect on the ball game as we look at Sparky. Well, maybe they're keeping Gullett back this one extra day so he doesn't have to pitch the 7th game if it goes that far in Fenway, but they could still use him in relief to get left-handed hitters out. Red Sox forced to go with Tiant down by 1.
Evans waits in the pitch. Slow curveball. See Bench give Carlton Fisk a quick look. 1 ball, 1 strike, 1 out. 2-0. We're in the top of the 4th. Cincinnati's leading.
And the infield conceding 1 run on a ground ball.
Deep to right center field. This could be trouble. Way back there. Off the wall. 2 runs are going to score. Here comes Lynn. There goes Evans heading for third. There's the throw.
Oh, nobody backing him up.
Nobody backing him up.
And luckily...
luckily is right. Nobody was behind him. Norman was back in the plate. Or halfway in between, it seemed like.
Here it is. Geronimo, the strongest arm in the outfield, throwing the strongest arm in the infield. That's Concepcion with a relay in right center field. And Freddie Norman was hung up as Zimmer saying, whoa, wait a second, don't go. It hit the screen, protecting the dugouts.
So there it is, all tied up at 2 apiece on another clutch hit by Dwight Evans. Boy, 2 days in a row, that big guy's come on. Now the infield has to move in. Evans is on at third base with the triple. Here's Burleson. And there's a base hit. And Boston takes the 3-2 lead. Burleson's trying for second and makes it. What a piece of base running. Satch Davidson says, no way. They took for granted that Burleson would stop at first base.
Well, it shows the scouting report of the Red Sox. If the ball is handled by Foster, we'll take some chances. Not on Geronimo. Burleson knows that Foster fielded the ball. Satch Davidson of the National League right there, eating dirt with Morgan and Burleson. Here's Evans on third. With the infield in the way it was, an easy base hit had they been playing back, an easy out. Here's Burleson again coming into second base. Offline throw by Foster. He takes a little while to get rid of the ball, but just made it.
No, not only was it a bit offline, Tony, I felt that he didn't have a whole lot on it. Kind of took for granted that he was going to stop and say, "Oh, baby, I just drove in the tie-breaking run." That's not the way the Red Sox play, and they now lead by the score of 3-2. And there's a break in the action with the score 3-2 Boston. Luis Tiant has just fouled a pitch off with Burleson on at second base. Barbone, a good fastball. That Burleson, don't look now, man. 7 base hits for him. Him and Petrocelli. Rico, a base hit his first time up. And Tiant, a base hit in the center field. Geronimo, a good arm, and Zimmer holds him up and bench now. And look at Tiant made a big turn at first base, and nobody was there because Perez was the cutoff man, and Louis goes scampering back. Really wasn't much that Rick Burleson could do.
And here again, the scouting reports say, not on Geronimo. All the way on the fly. First base was open. There's Perez in the cutoff position, allowing Tiant to make the wide turn at first. Burleson get hurt down there at third base. Trainer's out there. Charlie Moore looking at his leg. Now out comes Darrell Johnson. He may have pulled something to be out of the game. He's limping. Well, looks...
He had to pull up quickly, and maybe one of those quick stops because he had all the intentions of scoring, and you can see it's a left ankle, and sometimes when you put those brakes on a little bit too hard, you may pull something.
Here's Burleson coming off second base. He thinks he's got a chance to score, and now watch Zimmer. He's holding him all the way. Right there on the artificial surface.
That's where it happened.
May have jammed that ankle.
Didn't mean to swing. Little tap. Perez can't get it. Everybody's safe. It's 4-2 Boston. Looked like Tony took his eye off the ball as Beniquez ducked a high fastball.
Barbone makes a good pitch. Really jammed him, but Tony Perez lets it skitter under the edge of his glove. Had no chance for a play anywhere. We got a 4-2 game. Here's Beniquez. That's a jam job.
Jam City.
But the Red Sox get a break.
4-2, Boston out in front, and here is Denny Doyle. It's an error on Perez. Strike. Activity in the Cincinnati bullpen as Barbone delivers a fastball outside, 1-1. There is Clay Carroll, the Hawk. It would be redundant to say he was in there last night because anybody who warms up tonight, you could say that about him. That's going to be playable. Pete Rose and bench. Who's going to get it? Rose takes charge. There's Tiant visiting with Morgan. You don't think he's saying that's not a balk, Joe? Come on, you're making trouble for nothing.
I think he's saying, how do you like my hitting and my base running?
Here's Yastrzemski, 3 for 13 in the World Series, the Red Sox. 4-2. This is the 9th man to bat in this 4th inning. Off the handle, a little looper coming on fast, Geronimo, and can't get it. Here comes Tiant. He's going to score. Beniquez is held up. He had ideas of coming around.
Cesar broke back on the ball. He looped around the ball, starting to left center field. That's what artificial surface can do to a ball. Look at that hop.
So the Red Sox have taken a 3-run lead. It's 5-2. And here's the man who got it all started, Carlton Fisk. He drilled one into the gap in left center field. It was cut off by Geronimo. Fisk has taken plenty of time to give Tiant a little chance to breathe here. Tiant's been on base both times. He walked in the third. Now he's come around to score after he singled. There is Sparky Anderson. He's giving signals to his people. Barbone. I don't know what he could be giving him unless how to pitch him. with Fisk up there, you don't look for Yastrzemski to be breaking. There's a high fastball, ball one. Big inning for the Red Sox. 5 big runs. Outside. 2-0. Now, you know, that Zimmer, very active coach. In fact, Darryl Johnson, the manager, simply says to Zimmer, go out and coach your usual game. And that means that the runners will be running. Got under it. Left center field. Concepcion, now Geronimo takes charge, makes the play. And that ends the 4th inning, a good one for Boston. 5-2 in the bottom of the 4th. Red Sox out in front. 5-2, the Red Sox with 5 runs in the top of the 4th have taken the lead, and that's the way this series is going. And tomorrow, Game 5, there it is, begins with the baseball world, and you'll get a good look at the last of his breed. Max Patkin, the baseball clown, will be our show. And then if Boston should win this game, of course, we go back to Fenway Park for Game 6. Game 7, there's a lot of ifs, I'll tell you something, but these two clubs, evenly matched, fundamentally sound, and every game has just been a real battle. Game 5 tomorrow. Game 6 will begin 12:30 on Saturday Eastern Time, should Boston win this game. There goes Tiant into some gyrations now. He give it a little dipsy-do.
He starts putting it on a little bit more when he gets ahead. Liable to see a few knuckleballs.
Now he's starting to look around. He's got those hinges in his body all oiled up, and he'll start to flop around with that Raggedy Ann arm of his. A real battler, this fella. Right field. Way back there it is. Man, he gave it a good chase. Foul ball.
Evans playing toward Perez Power, which is right center field or left center field. He has a long run. Not much room there. He has to break himself very quickly. You can see the padding to prevent any injuries in that corner.
He came a long way. Not much room down in those corners.
Burleson's playing short left field for Perez.
Did you see that move? He turned completely to home plate and looked at direct center field. Watch this. If you're sitting in center field, you got to see his eyeballs. Look at that.
Well, one other man I know who can do what we saw in that last replay of Tiant.
Who?
You've got him on your show tomorrow.
Max Patkin, that's right.
Oh.
You know, and it's calculated. It just doesn't happen. This man figures it out. Here's the 3-2 pitch. Struck him out. Foul tip held on to by Carlton Fisk. That's the first strikeout. Fisk held on to the foul tip, and that's a play you just can't practice. You're lucky. One of the few plays in baseball you can't say, I'm going to go out and practice foul tips.
Why are some better than others? I always felt that Yogi was good at catching foul tips.
It has to be a loose webbing in the glove, and he's lucky. How can you go out and practice it? You go up and tell a coach you're going to practice foul tips. You know what he does? He take your temperature. It's like going out and practicing triple plays.
I never understood how Yogi could do it with the paws he had.
Those little nubs, huh? Johnny Bench, high curveball. I love when he put down those signals. He indicated 3 fingers, and he had that little stub look like 2.5. I wonder what kind of pitch is a 2.5 pitch. Tiant to Bench. He missed outside.
Marty, I'm trying to recall the number. Maybe you can. And it's a high amount of games in which the Reds have come back in the late innings to win ball games.
Around 39 games, Tony, during the season.
It's a lot. Fastball taken. Fisk, the low target. Oh, what a pitch that was. Right on the outside corner. Johnny Bench thought it was low. And I'll tell you, he is really upset. Look at it.
Carlton did a nice job of snatching the ball in a couple of inches.
And he gave the umpire a good look. And John gave him a good speech. Fouls it back.
I don't think you fool too many umpires these days by snatching the ball back in, do you?
I don't think so either, Tony, except that when you don't make your pitcher look wild, Bench does it, Fisk does it so well, you get some of those. Left field, Beniquez loses his cap but makes the play. 2 away. Foster, who bounced out his first time up. You know, you watch the catchers move back there, and again, they give the umpire a good look because if you catch the ball coming down with the big glove, the umpire can't really see where you caught the ball. He sees the glove over the corner of the plate, and many times that's a factor. Drilled foul. The difference sometimes in a strike and a ball is if you catch the ball in the webbing or if you catch it in the heel. It could be maybe 6-8 inches in there. And if you got the glove coming down or closed off, the umpire really has to make a guess at it. One ball and 1 strike. Luis Tiant, 5-2. The Red Sox are leading. They got 5 big runs in the 4th inning. How do you like that? Shook off the pitch in the middle of his windup. 2 balls and 1 strike. As he was delivering the ball, he was shaking off the pitch. You gotta like this guy. Luis Tiant. High curveball, wants a new ball.
He hasn't been back to Cuba in some 16 years. He said he would like to go. Everybody knows by now his parents are here, and they've seen him pitch great baseball through the month of September, Championship Series, and the first game of the series up in Boston. He knows how to pitch.
Listen, his father knows how to pick off guys, too, I'll tell you that. If his father still got the move, I'd like to use him on the baseball world. Throw to first base and have the guy swing at it. 3-1 pitch, fouled off.
You concentrate so hard on Tiant and his head fakes and the different deliveries, you forget how well he spots the ball when he has his control. He's settled down a little bit more now as the game has progressed, and he's been hitting the corners. You can see Fisk set up, motion outside. He puts the glove down, and Tiant's close to it. Let's watch Fisk.
Off the handle. Doyle backhands it. Long throw. Not in time.
That one went in the dugout.
And it goes into the dugout. That throw into the dugout. Boston running it hit the fence.
Here's Doyle showing some good range. He didn't have time to right himself to get good balance. Not much on the throw, but he did have a good job getting the ball away. Yes, might have left the ball, the bag a little bit sooner so he could have stopped the ball from going through.
Yes, was convinced he was going to get his man. Foster hits a quiet 300, doesn't he, Marty? Just a steady 300.
He really does, Joe. And, of course, they talk about this season for Cincinnati. The big key when they talk about it will be the movement of Pete Rose to third and Foster to left field that really turned this team around.
That was the move that kicked the big red machine into gear. And here is Concepcion. 2 men out, 5-2 Boston leading. We're in the bottom half of the 4th inning. Good fastball. That's the best fastball he's thrown, Tony.
Burleson was telling me before the ball game that he played against Concepcion several years ago in Venezuela in the Winter Leagues. And he said he never thought that Concepcion would hit. He stood so far away from the plate, held the bat on the end, and couldn't reach pitches outside part of the plate. But Big Klug got a hold of him, and look what he's made of him.
Really just a tremendous shortstop. Hopped up, going out. Burleson coming in. Lynn could be trouble. And it's Foster scores, and it's a 2-base hit for Concepcion. There's no reason for that ball dropping.
It was a tough play for anybody who had to make it. Lynn usually comes and gets these kinds of balls near collision. This is what happens when you get out of Fenway on this artificial surface, just a shade deeper, and he couldn't get it.
Nobody seemed to take charge on that play. They were all reaching, much like the same feeling you get trying to look for the light switch in the dark. Everybody was just reaching.
when you go out as a shortstop, you're looking at the ball and you're just waiting for somebody to crunch you.
And that's the way it looked, Tony. And Burleson just kind of felt his way there and it cost him a run. 5-3. Here's Geronimo. Strike one. Tiant made a good pitch. Concepcion hit the ball off the end of the bat. It was a little pop fly. And the three of them surrounded it. There's some action in the Cincinnati bullpen once again. There he is, the Hawk. Strike two. This crowd is coming alive here. It's 5-3 now. Concepcion has hit 2 balls, and it really, really stung the Red Sox. He hit that 5 bouncer that tied it up, the one that got the grub worms in Fenway, and now this one, that little blooper. 2 strikes to count. Geronimo waiting. Just missed outside. Activity. Burton is the left-hander. Pohl is the right-hander.
Bones in the on-deck circle, but I'm sure if he gets on, we're going to see somebody come to the plate, a pinch hitter. Crowley's been so good off the bench for Sparky.
Here's a 1-2 pitch. Nice block by Carlton Fisk. 2 balls and 2 strikes. That curveball broke low. Blocked it nicely. Now he's got a nice low target, just like Bench. Look at him block that ball and keep it there. I tell you, I said it so many times so far in this series, this is only game 4. If you're a young catcher, you can follow either one of these fellas behind the plate. Really learn a lot. Fouled it back. Good fastball.
You know, Joe, these 2 guys, you can talk more about catching than I can, obviously. These 2 guys prove that there's more to catching than they're just putting down fingers and throwing to second base.
Oh, well, that's the thing. When you go into talk contract, it's working the pitchers, it's blocking balls, it's blocking the plate. There's Concepcion at second base. Tiant. 5-3, Red Sox lead, bottom of the 4th. A little looper down the left field line. Beniquez coming over, can't get it. It gets by him. It'll be extra bases. 2 for Geronimo. He's heading for third. Here's the throw. It is not in time.
Joe, I've got to wonder if Juan Beniquez, who looked like he got a good jump, had some trouble with the lights. He started after the ball very well, and then he just shied away from it. You see again what happens on artificial surface as opposed to a grass field. Here's the play on the relay from Burleson to Petrocelli. I believe we're going to have a pinch hitter now for the Reds.
Look at that Cincinnati bench. It's 5-4, and Crowley has come out in the on-deck circle. Concepcion, Foster walking by. Tiant, I tell you, a tough luck pitcher in this inning. He got the first 2 men easily, and then Foster hit a bouncing ball. Doyle came up with it. It was an infield hit. Foster went to second as the ball got past Yastrzemski, an error on Doyle. And then Concepcion, a bloop double. 3 outfielders converged, let it drop, and then Geronimo hit one off his handle down the left field line. And Tiant now faces Crowley. 5-4. And Geronimo will lead. Now time is called.
Hey,
they're going to appeal it. Safe.
They appealed. They had to put the ball back in play by stepping on the pitcher's rubber, then stepping out. And the second base umpire, Satch Davidson, says,
It was a good attempt on the part of Boston because Geronimo at second base did stumble as he was watching Beniquez run the ball down. Good swing by Crowley. There's Geronimo. This is his first appearance. Played in his 1973 series for Baltimore. 0 for 1 as a pinch hitter. High, 1-1. Let's pause briefly for station identification. It's the NBC Television Network. One ball, one strike. Crowley, a pinch hitter for Bourbon. Strike is called a fastball. Tiant trying to pitch out of it. Leads by a run. Tying run is at third. Geronimo. Let's see where Fisk spots him. Struck him out. Decoyed inside, went to the outside corner. That ends it. But at the end of 4, it's Boston 5, Cincinnati 4.